Welcome to The Bridge, Your Health, Your Voice, the official podcast for the University of Maryland, Baltimore School of Pharmacy Patients Program. The Patients Program is the bridge between the community and researchers. The Patients Program created this partnership to help researchers listen to the community's voice in order to build a bridge to an effective learning healthcare community. Here's your host, Rodney Elliott.
I am excited to talk to and reunite with two former colleagues of mine. Well, I would just say two colleagues because who knows, we may work together later on down the line, but two colleagues of mine, Nabil Natafgi and Moaz Abdelwadoud.
That's perfect. I love it. Thank you so much, Rodney.
Okay. I practiced that, guys, before we had I practiced it, and I think I did well, but I'll try it again later on.
One more time, Rodney. One more time.
Okay. Nabil Natafgi and Moaz Abdelwadoud.
That's good. I like it.
Two postdoctoral fellows here at the Patients Program. I've worked with them both together on projects. And Patients Program, we all work in our different silos, so to speak, here. But when you have an opportunity to work with a postdoctoral fellow, it gives you a chance to kind of see how we do research from their lens. And then they also see how we do research out and about in the community. So our discussion today is going to be a little bit about that, right? Their time here with the Patients Program, what they learned, what helped them shape them to where they are now, their positions in two prestigious universities, one in the South, one up North. And then we're going to, again, recap and talk about why they're here today. So how did your postdoctoral experience here at the Patients Program shape your approach when you're talking about problem solving or maybe innovation to your role right now that you have up there at the prestigious NYU?
So just to give you background, currently I am a visiting assistant professor with NYU School of Global Public Health with the Department of Global and Environmental Health. Most of my work is teaching and training postgraduate students, master students, doctoral students, and giving them training. We don't have this kind of classic academic training format. We usually have interactive classes, something hands-on, practice-oriented. So I think, and I believe actually, my experience at the Patients Program helped shape my communication with my colleagues and trainees. The Patients Program made me a better communicator. This is what I think. And I'm always trying to ensure that everything is clear and objective.
Gotcha.
Actually, from the Patients Program, especially from Dr. Mullins. So being objective when I work with other colleagues and when I train public health graduate students, and even in the couple of projects that I'm working on. So I have two projects, one with the Woodford Program, another one with NYU School of Medicine and VA. It impacted this. I'll speak about this later, but just to let you know that the entry point that I think shaped my current role and experience is how to communicate with people, be clear and objective, pragmatic, solution-oriented, how to work with people hand in hand.
I like that.
It's unique experience.
I like that, Moaz, and I'll have a question that I'm working on with my guests, and I'll be able to reflect back to an event that we had that maybe you can, elaborate on that a little bit about that whole effective communication part. The Patients Program, we understand that is huge in the work that we do from every level, postdoctoral fellow, a researcher, and even community member. So, Nabil, same question to you. How was your postdoctoral experience at the Patients Program help shape your approach to the things that you're doing right now in South Carolina?
Well, I couldn't agree more with Moaz. Communication. I think I can't stress the word communication more importantly than what Moaz said. Again, kind of also a background about what I'm currently at. I'm currently the assistant professor in the Department of Health Services, Policy and Management at the Arnold School of Public Health here at University of South Carolina and Columbia. But I also the associate director for the patient engagement studio. And basically, I would say more than 90% of my time is directly linked or indirectly linked to my experience at the Patients Program. As soon as I joined USC in August 2019, I knew that engaging patients in research is one major area of research that I want to continue to do. Again, kind of just the context of a background, I'm an author of a PhD in health services and policy, where I got trained in quantitative skills, done a lot of areas of research related to telehealth, telemedicine. But my experience with the patients program when I went to the postdoc fellowship after that, I gained a lot of skills and communication skills, community-based participatory research, and how to do patient engagement at core, working with community level, grassroots level, helped me understand that the way that I've traditionally did research is not going to be effective. And coming into USC in August 2019, I knew that, yes, I want to continue doing the research that I used to do, telehealth, telemedicine, all of that. And remember, that was prior to COVID.
Yes.
Everyone going virtual and everyone using telemedicine. I knew that that was one area of research that I wanted to do, but I also knew that I wanted to do it from the perspective of the patient and have it more patient-centered. So I tried my best to see what are the different opportunities. And I stumbled upon something called the Patient Engagement Studio at the University of South Carolina. It was a very small, niche, core group of individuals. I'm the associate director of that studio. We expanded a lot. We have outreach beyond the state of South Carolina.
Nice.
And I definitely couldn't have done that without all the skill set and kind of the leadership I learned at the patients program.
So, Nabil, both of you, Moaz and Nabil, you both talked highly about the communication, the level of communication, how you communicate with your students, how you communicate with your colleagues, how you communicate with the folks you engage with. Is there a specific skill that you kind of reach into your tool bag, that your patients program tool bag, and use in the work that you do?
I mean, I vividly remember the very first day I went out in the community in West Baltimore and did it was a focus group. It was a focus group in West Baltimore. I remember BJ was there, and it was a completely different community that, I mean, I've been probably less than a month at Baltimore, living in Baltimore. I've been in Iowa before that for 4 years. Before Iowa, I've been in Lebanon. So you can expect all the different blend of cultural shock, kind of a variety.
Not that different, Moaz. Lebanon, Iowa, Baltimore City, West Baltimore. That's not that different.
Right? And I was trying to speak with the community, understand them, and understand their concerns. And I know how challenging it might be in certain neighborhoods in West Baltimore, particularly to kind of trust in research, trust in healthcare. And I mean, we all know about that. And at a certain point, I felt the element of feeling that they are betrayed from their community leadership, from their healthcare leadership. And this is where to be completely transparent, I was like, okay, I'm going to do here what I'm going to try to navigate and respond to those community groups where they have challenges and they feel that they have been betrayed by the clinical leadership, academic leadership, and others. And I went back that night and kind of pondered a little bit on this. And that was an eye-opening for me to understand that sometimes as a researcher, I think that we are in our ivory towers. We know everything. We kind of provide the theoretical underpinning for everything that needs to be looking like X, Y, or Z. But we never understand the perspective that the patients come from or the community comes from. And that, I would say that's definitely a skill set. It's a skill set of putting yourself in others' shoes, understanding that I've never lived this before. Or even if I lived it in a different setting, it might be completely different from one geographic location to the other or one community to the other, etc. It's just trying to understand. I think understanding is the key. And I would think that's a key skill set for any future researcher
Hi, Dr. Mullins. How's it going?
It's great. Eric let me know that you guys were on today's podcast, and I said, well, let me pop in and say hello to two of my favorite former postdoctoral fellows. And thank you so much for joining with Rodney today.
That's an awesome surprise visit. Thank you for showing up.
Absolutely. My cameo appearance. Thank you, Rodney, for letting me crash your party.
This is the first. This is a one-of-one. This is the first opportunity. The bridge has been busted, and we like that. Let's go. Go ahead, Moaz. Continue on talking about the specific skill or tool. Dr. Mullen, that was a question I posed to Moaz and Nabil, right? We're asking them what tool box or what tool can they reach back into their patient tool bag to use when they're talking to or they're communicating with their colleagues, they're communicating with their postdoc fellows. And Moaz was talking about his experience at NYU.
Okay, so just to continue my conversation, definitely how to listen better, how to build a constructive conversation with people. So it's still in my head, listen, bridge, deliver. So I believe here at NYU, as I said, in my first lecture, I was surprised the student body represent the whole. Like you are in the UN meeting and you can see that this is a distribution, the demographic distribution of the whole. So you have almost 1/3 Chinese students, almost 1/3 Indian students and Southeast Asian students, and the other 1/3 is the whole other parts of the world, including the United States. So I was always asking myself, how can I communicate with each and every one effectively with all of these backgrounds, different walks of life? So I believe when I was exposed at the patients program to different communities, starting from West Baltimore that Nabil spoke about, I will never forget my visits with me to barbershops in West Baltimore, conducting these interesting card game with people while they are cutting their hair. And we were talking with them about African Americans' participation in genomics research, which is a very scary topic to speak about, actually. So when you speak with them, I learned about race, I learned about the historical atrocities from the perspective of the community, why they are not engaged effectively in research and participation in whatever clinical activities, including research and clinical services. It was very, very enlightening for me. Listening to these people was a different experience for me. And in the other project, the FDA Health Communication, older women, speaking with older women in different regions of the United States made me feel like, okay, there is no one size fits all, this kind of perspective. And all of our theories and perspectives, whatever we have as academic people, wearing these nice ties when we speak with people, okay, I know better, I know what you are talking about. Definitely it's different. So I would say, listen, bridge, and deliver shape my teaching. Let me tell you how I conduct my courses and classes. I usually ask question, which is a critical question, a argumentative question, and I put the students in this kind of tough situation. Choose your destiny. Repeat down, choose your minds. Choose your destiny. It's an argument, and I'd like you to choose one direction and tell me why you are supporting this. So I listen first, then I pick it from them. Then I build conversation, learning from focus group discussion, probing, telling them, okay, but there are some, playing the devil advocate, there are some other opinions against this. Then we come back until we have a conclusion with an aim of having a strong argument and thoughtful decisions. I think this shaped my teaching up. And some students feel like, okay, this is something different from other ways of lecturing, building a conversation, and even my discussion forums, online discussion forums. You have to take one side, build an argument, and try to offer constructive feedback to others. Listen, bridge, and deliver. This is how I do. So thank you so much for the patient program.
Moaz, it's good to hear that LBD lives on. It lives on beyond Baltimore. We love to hear that. Dr. Mullis, thank you for joining in on us. You know your schedule is busy, but this is the first time for someone to pop in on our episode, and we love that. Before you go, you want to say anything before you go, Dr. Mullis?
Absolutely. Well, one, glad that both of you are using what you learned here. Number two, I'm not surprised that Moaz's example actually goes back to Mr. Elliott himself. I know it was Rodney who was out there in those barbershops with you when you were conducting that research. So thank you, Rodney, for training our former postdocs, and thank you both for joining us today. And please do continue to keep in touch. Thanks.
Thank you, Daniel.
That was great. Yeah, it was great. I did not know that, guys. Hey, he's the executive director of the program. So if he wants to pop in on the podcast, he can pop in on the podcast. So, right. And it's funny, that's actually leading to my next question. We talk about the leadership of Dr. Mullins, right? He started the patients program 10 plus years ago. It's maybe a handful of staff members with him as well. And we've grown to the point now where we have, a dozen or so staff members, former postdoc fellows that are across the world, changing the world when it comes to health equity, changing how people have these conversations. So when you guys were here and Dr. Mullins was executive director, a boss, a mentor, is there something that he or maybe some other University of Maryland University of Maryland staff may have given you to something you picked up for them, I should say, that you knew you would take on to your next level, either from Dr. Mullins or one of our other UMB staff?
Thinking of that, I have 4 words that I can summarize the things that I've learned from Daniel. Basically, leadership, efficiency, networking, and vision. Obviously, he's a leader. He knows how to kind of convene a group, provide a vision for that group, and say, this is where I see the patient's program in 2 years, in 5 years, in 10 years.
Yeah.
Act on making that happen. Coming in as a postdoc, going back to the kind of things that I've mentioned earlier, usually I just was behind a computer doing some analysis, writing codes, running some numbers, writing some reports and manuscript, and that's it. I'm still introvert. I don't think I would ever be an extrovert. I'm still an introvert. I'm still shy. But I think one skill that I learned from Daniel is how to turn my kind of shyness and introvert character into an asset, and how to build on that by being a leader, by trying to develop a vision for myself, personally, professionally, but also for my team, for what I would like to see from my own lab, from my current, for example, the patient engagement studio, where I would like to see it in a year, in 5 years, and 10 years. I spoke earlier about how we started patient engagement studio at UST here being localized in an upstate, because if anyone knows about anything about South Carolina, we have 4 different regions. I'm in the Midlands. This is where the main campus is in Columbia. And we have upstate in Greenville, where we have a remote school of medicine. The patient engagement studio was just in Greenville. It was localized to patients from that area, only researchers from the School of Medicine, and that was it. And as I joined, we were able to see how we can expand that. We set goals for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And to the Columbia area, to the Midland region, and have more researchers from the campus across all 6 schools of the University of South Carolina, have interdisciplinary research, have more representation of the community members, have statewide representation. We were able to do that in a year. And then after that, we didn't stop there. We said, okay, now we can use the COVID opportunity, or kind of the COVID experience, as an opportunity as opposed to as a threat, and go nationwide and expand our scope also to states beyond South Carolina. So those intertwined leadership and vision are definitely things that I've learned from them. To be completely honest, I remember I was always on my feet going to my meetings with him. It's super fast. We need to be very well prepared. Have a very specific agenda. But that's what helped those meetings be very efficient and straight to the point and being productive. And the last point is networking. His way of bringing people together.
Yeah.
I remember different times where he just came to my office, grabbed me, and took me to a specific meeting where he's meeting with, I don't know, CEOs or kind of profile figures from the community, and like, okay, you do this, and network with each other and know about each other. That definitely an inherent skill that is very important for any leader. And seeing that upfront and personal with him was very valuable.
Thank you, Nabil. I appreciate that. Same question to you, Moaz. What impact did Dr. Mullins have on you? And Nabil highlighted the idea of the efficiency. And if you know Dr. Mullins, if you come and work with him, he's going to ask you, what do you want to do now? What do you want to do next week? What do you want to do next month, next year? And he's going to help you get that plan out there. And that's been helpful not only to the postdoc fellows, to me as well, and the rest of our staff here.
Mentorship is crucial for success. Nobody will advance in their careers if they don't have continuous, authentic mentorship. So I'm using the patient's language. So continuous, authentic mentorship, honestly, it's very scarce. I have never experienced this before. I have experience with Dr. Mullins, and I'm telling you, after you have your training, most probably you will not have mentors. You have someone giving you like advices every now and then. But to have continuous hands-on mentorship with all of these conversations that we have after graduation from the patient's program, this is very scary. And I was blessed actually to have two mentors. So I had Dr. Mullins and Dr. Joel Mattingly.
Yes.
This was a very, very unique experience. Both of them, they are from two different generations. They have different perspectives. They have different styles in leadership, in mentoring, in doing their research, but they were very helpful for me. So I had like advices from two people so they can see clearly what can be the areas of improvement in my life. They are very realistic. I would say I agree with Nabil on everything, being pragmatic, engaged in more. You follow through what you are doing, you prioritize, you make sure that you know what is your current priority, how to be realistic, choosing your bathroom, something that I really received, choosing your bathroom.
Choosing your battles.
So when and how to face challenges and how to just ignore some challenges, let it go, focus on the most important things. One more thing. To be constructive and objective, the individual development plan at the beginning was something scary for me, that I would have an individual development plan and I would have every 3-6 months a meeting for an evaluation. And this evaluation was really tough evaluation. I tried to apply this with some of my graduate students, but honestly, I'm telling you, they didn't take it seriously. So I felt like you are missing a lot. People sometimes, I don't know if they trust this kind of like being under a mentor, or this is going to be, okay, this is too much on me, like this is adding pressure. But definitely having an individual development plan, this is where we started, this is what we are doing.
We talking about so far in our conversation about the role that you guys have now, the impact that Patients Program has had. We realize now that LBD lives on, Listen, Bridge, Deliver. That's great. Nabil, you talked about the idea of communication. What are some of the challenges, right? So, Moaz, if you're trying to understand or you're trying to implement this mentorship idea in your leadership role at NYU, that is a challenge for you. How are you navigating through that piece? And Nabil, as Moaz is thinking about that, I want you to talk about, when it gets to you, what are some of the challenges you faced there at South Carolina?
I will speak a little bit from the academic side of things, being in a tenure track position, and probably some of the future postdocs will be looking at this podcast and kind of wondering. And to be honest, my experience at the postdoc or at the patients program was invaluable in terms of the skill set that I've gained, and we talked about that and how valuable that was. But we live in an academic setting where we have that traditional idea of publish or perish.
Publish or perish, wow.
We just have to be basically for those academicians, our kind of assessment of productivity and whether you can get promotion and tenure and all of that is how many papers have we published in the past year or the past several years, and how many dollars funding we get. That's good. That's fine. That's fair game. But sometimes in the type of research that we do in the patient engagement, that becomes a little bit challenging. And let me explain a little bit about that. I think there is a lot of similarities in what the patient's program does at UMB and what we do here in the patient engagement studio at USC is, I always say that we consider ourselves as a service unit to other researchers. It's like if you're a researcher, you consult with a biostatistician to kind of give you an idea about statistics and how to do that in your research. A lot of researchers don't know how to do patient engagement or don't have the skill set or don't have the capacity or don't have the time to do it. And they need to kind of have a bridge, going back to the bridge, which is kind of bridging researchers to community members to patients, etc. My role as the associate director, a lot of my time is consumed to that area. And this is one of the challenges of convincing leadership, whether academic leadership or otherwise, on rethinking and reevaluating at least their perspective of how some of the researchers in the patient engagement are being evaluated about their work. For example, community partnership is hugely valued, but not on paper. They don't, whenever we're doing our annual reviews, they don't look how many new partnerships have you developed, right? That's not the metric. It's just how many papers have you published and how many dollars have you generated. So I think my kind of just wrapping up, my advice to novice postdocs out of the patients program who are thinking to have this as a line of research, don't let that haunt you. You will survive because what you're doing is very important, even if it might not be valued on paper in the short run, but it's definitely an important thing, and there's a visibility for this. And actually, a lot of funding agencies have been incorporating this. I mean, when I joined the patients program, probably it was mostly PCORI, to some extent art, but now it expanded way more in those past 7 years, 10 years of making patient-centered outcome research.
So speaking about prioritizing my time, prioritizing my efforts, making sure that I am focused on the most important thing. Actually, this is part of what we teach the students, how to prioritize health issues, how to prioritize your decisions, how to make sure that you are efficient in what you are doing. And also there is something that I felt like as a challenge at the beginning of my experience with the patients program, but later on, it changed my work style, which is working on different projects at the same time. So I used to be someone who is just focused on one track. So I'm focusing on this, I'm doing this, I finish it, I go for the second one, then the third, and so on. I didn't work in parallel work. So this was a challenge, and this is related to how I was trained, and this is my personality. But now, if I'm teaching more than one course to different kinds of students and advising some students and working on the side on some research projects with the VA and working with the Roadfoot program on South Sudan and Chad, which is something totally different from what I'm doing in the other area of my teaching. This is something that I learned from the patients program. Because every time we have a project in the patients program, we work with different collaborators, different communities, under different funding schemes, and reporting to different funding organizations. I remember the time I was working on the FDA Health Communication Project with the FDA, working with WestStat hand in hand, our contracting out collaborators, and in parallel, I'm going to West Baltimore using Rodney to conduct interviews for our University of Maryland project for precision medicine. And then I worked with Hillary on this Army Treatment Facility Terrorist project, which was in a different context, different work, working in Washington, D.C. and Northern Virginia. We are looking at water rates and food.
I remember that.
It's very, very different. And working with all of them at the same time, or at least a couple of them at the same time, was something that made me learn how to prioritize and how to keep my focus and sanity at the same time.
You ready to say, Moaz, you didn't know how to say no. That's up.
Okay, so in the previous program, you cannot say no. You know that. Okay, so okay, hello, we have a new project. We are working on this. Moaz and Rodney are going to work on it. Go ahead, guys. Good luck. Enjoy it. So it was very, very unique experience. I loved it. And this taught me how to even speak with people who are coming from different backgrounds. Like I'm meeting with someone speaking about topic A. Then I follow and mingle with someone about topic B. Then topic C. Sometimes you feel like you need to have these skills. Like you have to switch from one place to one to another efficiently. I think this was a challenge at the beginning, but I learned this and it changed how I teach and keeping my sanity by speaking with different people on different topics at the same time. So,
yeah. A lot of my role here at the Patients Program as an engagement specialist is going out and about in the community, boots on the ground when it comes to community engagement. And both Nabil and Moaz, early on in their career starting here with the Patients Program, even with that, throughout, participated in multiple events that were project related. They were working on, but they also participated in events just to kind of get a vibe or get a sense for what our community here in West Baltimore is and all about. Kind of you get the heartbeat a little bit, right? I call it checking the temperature, because the temperature of the community in Iowa is different. The temperature in the community in West Baltimore is different. And the only way you can kind of really feel that and get a sense of it is boots on the ground. So this is very helpful, Moaz and Nabil. I know when our listeners listen to it, particularly our postdoctoral fellows, it may give them a bit of relief to realize that it's not all about papers or paraching. It's about developing that relationship, right? And it's about figuring out what your style of communication is, and also figuring out how you need to communicate to your students, to your community members, to your leadership, right? Moaz, Nabil, I love the fact that you are part of a patient-centered outcome project down there at South Carolina, because we hear it all the time. Dr. Moaz mentioned about it all the time, right? People say they want to do community engagement. People say they know how to engage, but when they really get down to it, it's a little bit more, a little bit deeper. And we've learned that from our community. So kudos to both of you guys for really hitting the ground running. What would you say to that person who was getting ready to go into that focus group with BJ? And what would you say to that guy who was getting ready to go into that barbershop and do that first focus group? I want you guys to reflect back to that. And what would you say to that guy right now?
Okay, so that's a very good question. So if I'm going to ask or give advice to someone who is like starting from square one with the Patients Program, I would say, first, you have to listen before you speak. Second, I would say, as Rodney said, test the waters, check the temperatures, know when to ask the questions and when to listen, what topics to speak about. Usually in focus groups, you start by this kind of ice-breaking, building rapport, you asking the easy questions, send the question at the end. Try to do this. Be prepared for the unexpected opinions and perspectives. Be ready. Sometimes you will have tough conversations with people. Sometimes you will have someone speaking about some deviated topic off track. Try to keep your sanity. Try to keep track of what you are doing. So be prepared that you are going to work with people in real life. And this is an exceptional opportunity. By the way, speaking about authentic community engagement and patient-centered outcomes research, most of the research that we see is theoretical research and it's not authentic. People have interesting nice theories about what's going on in the community, but they are still in their ivory towers. They don't prioritize patients and communities authentically. When they speak about, for example, shared decision-making, they usually come with the topics and these are the choices for you. They don't listen first. And I believe in the Patients Program is doing something unique. We listen first. Even when you don't prioritize, you don't tell people what should we work on. We listen to them, what should we work on. This is unique. So please go with the flow. Try to learn how to listen and be flexible. And remember, you are a catalyst for what you are doing. You are not leading or giving directions to the community. This is something that I learned, and I'd like them keep this in their mind when they speak with the community and to listen with them first. So this is my 2 cents in that.
Thank you. Nabil?
I mean, I couldn't agree more with us. I second all of what he said. And if I'm just going to add, maybe is sympathize is the word that I would add there. I mean, going in, I knew that I would consider myself, I was a sympathizer at that time and still are. But I think that key to not just only try to put yourself in someone else's shoes, because, I mean, you might be able to do that, but it's not always, you're not going to be in anyone's shoes in real life. Reflecting actually on a conversation or a meeting I had literally yesterday night, with a new patient panel that we're building here in South Carolina for people with aphasia. And in the conversation, they were all sharing their stories. And I realized we are so privileged in so many different ways. I mean, we have our own challenges, each have their own challenges, but we are also privileged on so many different ways. And that applies to so many different health conditions, to so many different experiences and lives, to so many different communities. And just having the ability to sympathize and understand the individual in front of you, and understand that they might be facing challenges that you can't even think of, or things that are not going the way that they would like to go, or things that you've never experienced before. I think it just changes your perspective on the conversation and the communication that we refer to earlier. It just makes that communication more streamlined and make it also more authentic, as Moaz said. A lot of this sometimes, unfortunately, doesn't just happen because we're checking boxes, and that shouldn't be the case. Once we add that S word of sympathizing, I think it changes it from just checking another box to really doing it because you know that what you're doing matters and would change someone's life, whether currently or in the future as well. And all of that, if that's blended between what I just said and what Moaz said, I think the outcome would be trust. Because one challenge that a lot of the communities face, and we face as researchers as well sometimes, is that I'm sure, Rodney, you know this because I've learned this term from my time at the patient program, helicopter research.
Yeah,
where we're just getting in, doing our research and leaving. And if we do what we just said, it helps us have a continuity in the communication and continuity in our relationship with the community. And I know that that's something that has been always stressed by the patient program, by Daniel Moaz, in making sure that those relationships that we build, they are continued throughout the period of time and whatever.
For sure. Thank you, Nabil. Thank you, Moaz. Truly appreciate it. Building trust is something that we work on daily here at the Patients Program. I know I do it out and about in the community. I know my other colleagues do it as well. But having conversations like this, right, having lived experiences from your experience here at the Patients Program and then where you are now, is ideas and tools and tips that folks, when listening, when they want to develop relationships, they can use and revert back to. And I'm pretty sure you guys will be sharing that news in next week or end of this week's 2024 annual research meeting, which is led by Academy Health, right? So that's why you guys are back in town, back up this side. So kudos and congratulations to you guys on that. And I'm pretty sure that's going to be super, super excited. I know you guys are excited about that, right?
Yep. We are. Thank you so much, Rodney.
For sure. Moaz, Nabil, it was great working with you guys. I'm proud of what you guys are doing right now. And I look forward to seeing you next week in person so I can give you a handshake and we can walk up to Lexington Market or something and grab something to eat.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you, Rodney. Thank you for hosting us.
No worries. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for listening to The Bridge, your health, your voice. To learn more about the Patients Program, visit our website at www.patients.umaryland.edu.